Behind the Tape, the unsolved murders of Barbara Mayo and Jacqueline Ansell. Introduction. Hello everyone, my name is Ryan, and welcome to Behind the Tape, where we dive deep into the most chilling, unsolved true crime cases that still haunt investigators to this day. In this episode, we explore two eerily similar murders from the 1970s in the United Kingdom, cases that remain unsolved more than 5 decades later. Today, we examine the tragic and disturbing murders of Barbara Mayo and Jacqueline Ansell, two young women whose lives were violently taken while hitchhiking. With chilling connections between their deaths, law enforcement and criminologists have spent years trying to uncover the truth. Could they have been victims of the same serial predator? Or were their fates the result of separate, unconnected killers who managed to evade justice? Join us as we reconstruct the timeline, explore the theories, and analyze the facts behind these haunting cases. The disappearance and murder of Jacqueline Ansell. It was March 8, 1970, when 18-year-old Jacqueline Ansell left her home in Manchester. She had a free-spirited nature and often relied on hitchhiking to travel, a practice common at the time, but one that carried hidden dangers. That fateful evening, she was seen thumbing a ride near the M6 motorway, hoping to reach her destination. Jacqueline never arrived. Days later, her body was discovered in a woodland area near Mayo, Cheshire. The crime scene was horrific. Jacqueline had been sexually assaulted and strangled. Investigators noted no immediate signs of a struggle, leading them to believe she may have been overpowered quickly or rendered unconscious before she had a chance to resist. The brutality of the attack was deeply unsettling, but the lack of substantial physical evidence left detectives frustrated. One of the most puzzling aspects of Jacqueline's case was the absence of clear eyewitness testimony. While some travelers reported seeing a young woman matching her description getting into a vehicle, the details were too vague to produce any leads. The police were certain of one thing: whoever had done this was capable of extreme violence. Barbara Mayo, a teacher's journey to the unknown. Fast forward to October 12, 1970, 7 months after Jacqueline's murder, 24-year-old Barbara Mayo set out on a journey that would end in a chillingly similar manner. Barbara was a kind and intelligent woman, working as a teacher and deeply passionate about education. On that Monday morning, she left her home in Hendon and began hitchhiking toward Catterick, North Yorkshire. Like Jacqueline, she had faith in the goodwill of strangers, unaware that a monster lurked among them. 6 days later, Barbara's body was found in a secluded woodland off the A6 in Derbyshire. Like Jacqueline, she had been sexually assaulted and strangled. The similarities between the cases were impossible to ignore. Both victims were young, traveling alone, and vanished after accepting rides from strangers. The manner of death, the lack of personal belongings found at the crime scenes, and the complete absence of definitive suspects all pointed to a terrifying possibility: a serial killer was preying on female hitchhikers. Investigative dead ends and chilling theories. From the moment the two murders were linked, law enforcement agencies across the UK launched one of the largest manhunts in British history. Hundreds of officers were assigned to the case, thousands of statements were taken, and forensic experts meticulously examined every shred of evidence. Yet, the identity of the perpetrator remained elusive. One prevailing theory suggested that the same man had killed both Jacqueline and Barbara. The crimes bore striking similarities, not just in the victims' demographics but also in the manner in which they were killed. Police profilers speculated that the killer might have been an opportunist, someone familiar with the motorways and willing to take risks to satisfy his twisted impulses. Then, there were the reports of a mysterious man seen in the vicinity of both crime scenes. Witnesses described him as middle-aged, well-dressed, and driving a dark-colored vehicle. Could he have been the predator responsible for these heinous acts? Unfortunately, without forensic evidence, the leads fizzled out, and investigators were left grasping at shadows. Another theory linked these cases to Peter Sutcliffe, the notorious Yorkshire Ripper. Active during the same period, Sutcliffe was responsible for at least 13 murders across the UK. While there were surface-level similarities, no direct evidence connected him to the deaths of Jacqueline or Barbara. Some investigators believed the killer might have been a truck driver, someone who moved frequently and left little trace behind. This would explain the randomness of the attacks, the lack of witnesses, and why he was never caught. But again, speculation was all they had, concrete evidence remained elusive. The lingering mystery and the impact on families. The murders of Barbara Mayo and Jacqueline Ansell remain a stain on British criminal history. Their families have spent decades seeking justice, haunted by the unanswered questions surrounding their daughters' deaths. The pain of losing a loved one is one thing, but the agony of not knowing who took them or why is an unending nightmare. Law enforcement continues to re-examine cold cases, utilizing modern forensic advancements such as DNA analysis. There is hope that a breakthrough could still come, perhaps a preserved piece of evidence holds the key to identifying the perpetrator. But until that day arrives, the case remains a grim reminder of the dangers faced by hitchhikers and the monsters that lurk in the shadows. Conclusion: will we ever know the truth? More than 50 years have passed, but the ghost of these crimes still lingers. Were Barbara Mayo and Jacqueline Ansell victims of the same sadistic killer? Or were they unfortunate victims of separate, unrelated predators? The lack of definitive answers is frustrating, and while advancements in forensic science have solved many cold cases, these remain among the most chilling unsolved crimes in British history. Someone out there may still know the truth. Someone may have seen something, a detail they dismissed at the time, a memory that resurfaces decades later. If you have any information about these cases, even the smallest clue could make a difference. And if you enjoy deep dives into unsolved mysteries like this, subscribe to Behind the Tape and hit that notification bell. We have many more stories to uncover, and together we can bring awareness to those who can no longer speak for themselves. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and until next time, keep your eyes open. You never know what's hiding behind the tape.